Am I the jerk for telling my brother the truth on why I don't ask him for anything? I, 19F, have three brothers, 27, 28, and 32. My oldest brother, Dave, got married to Sarah in May. I study halfway across the world from my hometown where my family are. I got really sick a few months ago and rushed to the nearest hospital. Turns out they don't accept my insurance, and I had to pay out of pocket. I was €50 short and called everyone I could, but no one was picking up. I then called my oldest brother, Dave, because he always picks up, and asked him to send me €50. I said I would send it back once I got paid in a few days. He told me not to be ridiculous and said he didn't need me to pay him back. Sarah called me that night and asked how I was doing. After the chit-chat, she asked if I could ask someone else the next time I need money because my brother is a married man. I was shocked, but I apologized and said I offered to pay him back. She said it's fine, but next time I should plan my finances in advance, so I won't have to rely on a married man. It's my birthday soon, and Dave called to ask what I wanted. I said nothing and that I was fine, but I appreciated him asking. My other brother called to ask what I wanted, and I said I wanted some money to heat my apartment. I couldn't afford to heat it this month. He was baffled that I was so broke I couldn't afford heating, and I wasn't saying anything. He started tearing up on the phone call with me and ended the call, then sent me $500 later. I guess he told Dave about the call with me because Dave called me and started interrogating me on why I had just told him I didn't need anything, and then asked my youngest brother. He sounded offended and asked why I feel like I can't rely on him. I asked, "Haven't you spoken to Sarah about this?" He was confused about what I meant, and I told him about the conversation I had with Sarah after he sent me the €50 for the hospital. He said he'd call me back, but he hasn't. A cousin of mine sent me a message a few hours ago saying I was the jerk for meddling in their marriage and that Dave didn't owe me anything. I was like, when did I say Dave owes me anything? I have never relied on him for anything, nor do I plan on it. I feel bad that Dave and Sarah are fighting, and I can't help but feel weirded out that Sarah did that behind his back and he had no clue. I've been extremely anxious, and I can't stop shaking. Am I the jerk? Again, I hope this reaches some of you. My middle brother called me yesterday and asked me to explain what's been going on, and I did. He's always had quite the temper and got very angry about the Sarah situation. He mentioned how Dave is paying the rent for Sarah's 22-year-old brother's apartment, so for Sarah to ask me not to ask Dave for anything at all was so messed up when her own brother is getting his rent paid every single month by Dave. To be honest, this made me mad. It's okay for Dave to support her brother, but God forbid he sends me €50 for an emergency, right? Anyway, Dave called me, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation. I explained to him what I've been going through here, and he was silent for a while. I mentioned that if I was in urgent need of something, I still had my other two brothers to ask, so it really wasn't that terrible. He said he feels so guilty that I was suffering and he didn't know. He said he won't tell me the details about his discussion with his wife, but he was heartbroken that she would even think of telling me not to rely on him. He has asked her to give me an apology, which she said she did, but at the time of the call, I hadn't received anything. I said I haven't gotten an apology from her, and he told me to check my messages again. Still nothing. He was silent for a while, and just sighed. I also mentioned the text my cousin sent, which he asked me to forward to him. He said he felt so bad that people so much older than me were treating me like this, and that he will deal with it, so it never happens again. That was this morning. I got a message from Sarah 10 minutes ago. Not sure how that's meant to be an apology, but to summarize, she said, *, I'm sorry if you took what I said, as you can't ever rely on your brother. Heck, your brother and I would never intentionally try to make you feel like he couldn't do anything for you. I'm also hurt that you couldn't speak to me. If you had a problem with it, we could have solved this as sisters. *. Now, WTF am I meant to say to that? I know she'll make me the villain if I don't respond, but honestly, what on earth is that? Update. So, I mentioned this in a few comments, but for those who haven't seen it, Sarah has this secret Twitter account that I follow through a burner account. It doesn't have her picture or name, but I know it's her because my cousin tagged that account on Sarah's birthday saying, "Happy birthday." Even without that, her tweets made it obvious it was her. Anyway, She replied to a tweet of a woman who tweeted about how she has no in-laws because her husband is an orphan with no siblings, and Sarah replied saying, Gosh, like I don't understand how you could love your partner and wish they had no family unless the family were genuinely toxic or something. I don't know, but this was a step too far in my opinion. She can dislike us all she wants, but tweeting this weird stuff is so childish and petty to me. You wish your man had no family because of an incident over 50 euros? Someone get this lady some help. Anyway, I sent it to my other two brothers, not Dave, and one of them forwarded it to him. Long story short, Dave was staying with my other brother for a few days after that, and now he's moved back into his house, but Sarah is back in her hometown. Final update. Dave and Sarah are officially separated. He asked her to leave his home and said he'd rent her an apartment wherever she wants until they're officially divorced, after which point she'll have to pay for it herself. Dave told me he created a hole in the concrete of his house and stashed some valuables, including gold jewelry that belonged to me. Sarah stole about half the stuff that was in it. She admitted to selling some of the jewelry but promised to pay Dave back. Dave is working with a lawyer to sort everything out, including replacing my jewelry. There's no coming back from this for them. She turned out so much worse than I thought, and I can't even believe this story myself.